Parents of Reddit, what was the moment you realized you may have accidentally raised an butthole? When my sons were 12 and 13, the older one stole $600 from my wife and I. He gave the younger one half. When they were caught and everything was said and done, the younger son told us that we didn't have the right to take his money from him because he didn't steal it. That was when I knew. Now ages 19 and 20, the older son has long grown out of it. The younger one has never stopped stealing and lying. Before moving out, he told me that he has always resented me for locking things up and, I'm quoting him here, not letting me take whatever I want from you. It amazes me because we raised all 4 of our kids the same way and the other 2 have always been good kids and kind-hearted. Oh well. I realized I was stranded in the bathroom with no toilet paper and called for my son. He demanded $10. I reminded him he's not so old he can't be left on a doorstep. He gave me 2 squares of toilet paper. You got 1 more square than I would have expected, lol. When I watched my younger son walk out on the porch, pick up a plastic wiffle bat, look at it, look at his older brother sitting on the porch steps, look back at the bat, and then haul back and crack his brother's head like Babe Ruth popping one out of the park, I could watch his thought process in 5 seconds time. Bat, dart brother, dart bat, dart hit, no hesitation. Please keep metal bats away from him, aha. Those are so bad. Speaking from experience. I have 3 sons, 8, 23 and 26. The middle one, Andrew, boasted to me that he had sex with over 30 chicks on Tinder, and with some of them in my bed. Yeah, Andrew, you're dong. Congrats. Andrew might be a virgin. Had a neighborhood kid babysitting for my little ones after school. She had some other kids over who got into the liquor cabinet. We told her divorced mom, who very indignantly told us we were lying. About a month later, her dad comes to the house with a bottle of Kershwasser, alcohol used for cooking fondue, a couple cheap gold necklaces from my wife, a spare key to our house and an old checkbook from a closed bank account. He apologized profusely and I remember him saying, I never thought my kid would be the bad kid in the neighborhood. It was painful to see. It's nice when it turns out they genuinely believed you were lying. At least it's better than them calling you a liar knowing that you aren't lying. My 6-year-old daughter told me to shave that thing off, my goatee. Couple days later I did. I asked her, do you like it? She makes a bit of a face and says, no, I didn't know your chin was so small. Ouch. My husband has a habit of messing with me. As I was stepping into the shower, he threw ice cold water down my back and I let out a shriek. My 18-month-old comes running in from her bedroom, looks me dead in the eye and screams ah in this overly dramatic whinny voice. Then she did it 3 more times. The little crap ran in from the other room to mock me. You're living in heck. Oh man, 2 men at a list. The most recent is when my son shot me with his Nerf gun directly in my eyeball. My eye still hurts a week later. A couple of weeks ago, my other son pooped on the floor. He's 3, and put a donut on top of it to hide it. Your children have a lot in common with my fraternity brothers. Teaching my kid the value of money. We'd give her tuck shop snack money in the day and we later found out she was just giving it away, not understanding the value of money at all. A few long deep conversations where I hate to admit I became a capitalist poster boy later, and she starts to understand that money has a value, how hard it can be to get and that it's even harder to keep. Fast forward a few weeks later, we run out of milk and I only have my card and no cash on me. Plus our local shop will only now accept card purchases over £10, so I figure I'll ask my darling angel little girl if I can borrow £1 for milk and put it back tomorrow. Number: no, you can't have my money, daddy. I earned it and you need to learn responsibility. That money doesn't just fall from the sky and you can't just go around giving everything away, as pretty soon you'll have nothing. I suck at parenting. Okay, this is not my kid, but my mom found out she was raising an butthole when we were out baby clothes shopping with my pregnant aunt, whose first baby had died a few days after birth a year or 2 earlier. And my brother says, what are you buying it clothes for when you don't even know it's going to live? Also not my kid. My brother had a strop tantrum, aged 15, on holiday, and told me he hated me and that he hoped me and my unborn baby would die because he was losing at mini golf. When I realize that she is most happy when she's doing something that pisses someone else off, like biting people, messing with electronics and playing with cat stuff. Just let that one play itself out. She'll learn her lesson. I'll never forget that one redditor who was going bald and his daughter told him, "Why do you always shave the top of your head like that? You look stupid." My 3-year-old was given a small Fisher-Price trampoline for his birthday. It's like 3 feet in diameter. A few months later, we got invited to take him to Sky Zone, which is a giant indoor warehouse that is wall-to-wall trampolines. It's freaking awesome. So my wife turns to my son and says, "Hey buddy, do you want to go to the trampoline place?" Without missing a beat, my kid rolls his eyes at her, jerks his thumb towards the Fisher-Price one, and says, in the most condescending tone a 3-year-old could muster, "I have one. Better than the other way around, where they now hate the one they have." My cousin is refusing to let her mother and her grandmother see her children because they won't buy her a house. She hasn't been gainfully employed for well over a decade. Her husband pays for everything, but he can't afford the house she wants. Her grandmother looked truly heartbroken when she told us, "Wow, your cousin is a real piece of crap. You should inform her about how much of a piece of crap she is." When I was arguing with my 7-year-old and she said she wished she was dead like my miscarried baby. Freaking savage and a brat. Oh my god. He got frustrated one day because my husband's family from Norway was visiting, and his little cousins were speaking too fast for him to understand. French is our kid's primary language, but we're both attempting to teach him English and Norwegian too. He's 3, and since his exposure to it is basically his father and grandmother, his Norwegian and understandably really not that good. He speaks in single words. Basically, he breaks out with this as a response: "You're in France. Learn to speak French. Norway is stupid, and no one cares." I know I shouldn't have, but he sounded so indignant I started laughing. Then he glared at me. "No one likes America either, mommy." And that's when I realized, as much as I tried not to, I was raising a true Parisian. 6-year-old is cackling and playing Star Wars Lego. Never a good sign. So I go in and see what she's doing. She's on the ranker level and purposefully feeding Jaws to the ranker and cackling as she collects the Lego bricks from every sacrifice. I'm raising a monster. Now give her the Sims. For science. My daughter at 4 years of age was doing some drawing at the table. I walk into the lounge and sit down on her tiny foam couch. Without missing a beat or putting her crayons down, she simply says in the sweetest little voice, "That's my couch, daddy. Now frick off." My kid asked me how to get an elephant out of a Safeway bag. "I don't know," she said. "Take the S out of safe and the F out of way." I thought about it for too long and then said, "But there's no F in way." She cackled. LOL, get wrecked. As much as I like reading about everyone's crappy toddlers, I wanna hear some responses from people who have older grown children who are truly crappy people. What does that feel like? Do you blame yourself? When did you realize they are awful? Did you try to correct it? My wife was having a small argument with the lady running the check-in out the airport. My daughter quietly stared the woman down until they made eye contact and then just said, "B." She was only 2. Have you ever seen the movie Overboard? Those are my kids. When my oldest son was 9 years ago, he destroyed my Warhammer 40k Space Marine Army S$2,000 with a BB gun. My second oldest son recently told his teacher that he was being abused because I grounded him from the Xbox One for a week. That was fun. My youngest son constantly torments his older brother and then tries to get him in trouble after he gets annoyed and yells at him. My 4-year-old daughter, my perfect angel, got upset with my wife and bit her. She then said, "Mom, you taste like bacon." Another story, my stepbrother is in butthole, verbally abusive to everyone, including his own parents, obsessed with money and status, has shady overseas accounts, got into debt with local Asian mafia, got into a fight with my father when he was boasting that he was teaching his future stepkids how to behave and respect their elders, and my father quipped back with, "How can you teach them respect when you have no respect for your own mother and father?" Took my 5-year-old to the doctor for a cold fever. We walk in, nurse bends down and asks, "How are you feeling, big guy?" He replies, "Not very good. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. I also hated talking to doctors as a child. Feeling like crap doesn't help, especially if you have the doctor that thinks he's hilarious. Come to think of it, I still don't like talking to doctors. I was expecting stories about when people actually knew their kids were going to be adult buttholes. Instead I got a bunch of stories of toddlers being toddlers. Same. My sister's son is always lying to people about how great he is. Always. He tells people he owns this bar or he is going to get this great job. He tells everyone that he takes care of his retired grandmother financially and loans people money to help out. Anything to make people see him as a good guy instead of the user he is. Turns out that he made his GM sign for his car with a $450 payment. Of course he promised to pay but doesn't. She's in a fixed income, so I tried to explain that he needed to help her instead of steal from her. I guess he didn't like hearing that because he started telling everyone lies about me and threatening to beat me and my wife up. I mean, he told everyone he could his stories about us. People close to us know the story and he still tries to stick to his story that he always gives her money. Saying my mom must be lying about him not paying. He my nephew and I've completely written him off. He's such a bad person and I can't understand why he thinks it's okay to behave that way. I guess if you lie for so long you start believing your own bulls. I pay my bills. I'm a grown butt man. Sad. When my 2-year-old went from sweetly snuggling with me to jumping up and running across the room shouting no snuggle you. If you've ever wanted your ego destroyed on a daily basis, allow me to recommend Parenthood. Yeah, sometimes my son leans in to kiss my cheek. Sometimes he pokes me in the eye and laughs at me. Toddlers, you never know what you're gonna get. Well, the other day my son raised his own butthole and projectile shat on my wife. Doesn't exactly answer your question, but it was shocking and also hilarious. I really thought this question would be a lot more interesting than these answers. Was anticipating 50-year-old parents giving stories about their grown butt kid in prison who's a SoundCloud rapper, not 3 5-year-olds giving sass. No one wants to admit they raised in butthole, yet there are plenty out there. Well, my son is now 18 and suddenly my smart, intelligent, conversational boy is in butthole young man. I fear he takes after his father. Also, I hope this is just a smelly, annoying phase. He's just starting on that smelly annoying phase called his 20s that every dude goes through. When, at Christmas a few years ago, I took my 5-year-old to all the relatives' houses to visit and get a few gifts they had for her. When we got to the last house, she looked at the blanket and cookies my grandma made for her and said, "OMG, is this IT? Is this everything?" And frickin' threw her crap on the floor. Jerk. Oh heck no. I'd have made her take all her other Christmas gifts and personally give them to a needy child. My 3.5-year-old told me she wanted to go to Bergen Town and eat trolls. She also broke my rib when I was 20 weeks pregnant with her, so I don't know why I am surprised. My 5-year-old loves killing stuff on Dragon Quest. They seem like nice kids, but they may be the death of me. Oh boy, do I have stories. We thought my brother was just going through the freshman douchebag phase, but nope. These were all in a span of 4 months. 1. He stole money from my college fund to buy a PS4, and failed to see why he was in trouble because he was planning to pay us back. 2. He gave his friend our garage passcode without telling anyone, and while we were on vacation we got a call from the police saying someone was having a party at our house. 3. After being ungrounded from incident 2, he made plans with 2 friends to sneak out with all of my dad's beer. He was caught just as he was making his escape. We joke that the only thing he's not a jerk to is the family dog, who he'll love on like it's his job. So I've got chronic asthma and lung issues, which is a daily issue. One day my 10-year daughter asks me to get up from my desk and make her a tea. Naturally, the words of my parents come out of my mouth and I replied with, "What did your last slave die of?" Without skipping a beat she replies, "Asthma." At that time I became deeply conflicted between my urge to beat her stupid and how proud I was of her. I knew my younger brother was a butthole when he was talking about a kid at school that no one liked, and how he'd tried to sit with him and his friends at lunch. Me. He probably has trouble making friends. You should be nice to him. But he's annoying. We just ignore him. Me. How would you feel if the other kids ignored you? Treat him how you want others to treat you. Him. Number. Chinese food delivery girl. We meet again. Tell your brother he's in butthole. And I want prawn crackers with my meal this time. It. Lots of new-ish parents who still haven't worked out that raising a child is explicitly the process of turning a sociopath who thinks they're literally God into a well-rounded human. Come back and tell your stories when the kid is old enough to steal a car. Then we'll find out how you did. Trick question. If the kid is truly in butthole, 90% of the time, the parents are too. So they don't even realize it, or don't give a frick, because they are buttholes. Can confirm. My childhood best friend's mom taught her to hurl insults at her so they could go back and forth for funsies. My mom told her to stop calling her mom a cow after her stepdad got thrown out for relapse. But come to find out her mom straight up taught her to be a Beelmeo. I run a tight ship at home. The house is always tidy. Kids know to put a toy back before getting out another one. They use their manners, etc. We go to our friend's house for a party. Her house is chaotic at the best of times and always untidy. Nothing awful, but very untidy. I find it hard sitting in mess, but she's my friend and I need adult conversation. My 8-year-old son walks in, surveys the room and says in the most patronizing voice, "Hey babe, you've really got to tidy up." All the adults are doubled over laughing. The birthday boy's dad is slow clapping, while grinning at his mortified wife. My son then proceeds to tell his captive audience how he has his own Hoover and has to clean all the time at home. "I'm a stay-at-home mum. I do all the cleaning and the Hoover is mine. My husband and 2 kids do not lift a finger and come home to tea on the table every night. Floor swallow me whole please." That kid needs to get called on his BS. My son wrote a very carefully worded Father's Day card. I was sitting there marveling at how much he loved me, till I realized the left side of the paragraph spelled something. Get REKT was the first letter of each line. It must have taken him a week to figure that out. I now realize letting him play online games since he was 9 was not a good idea. I was getting ready to go on a date and I'm fixing my hair and whatnot. My son comes in. No amount of love is going to fix that hairline. Then walks away. I stood there for a second. You little crap. My 4-month-old decided that his new favorite morning entertainment, he wakes up at dawn, is to smack his sleeping father over and over in the face while giggling about it. He does it for about half an hour every morning. I don't need to wake up until 8, but now I can't get back to sleep. He may have gotten my butthole genes but not my ADD. I'd get bored after 2 minutes if I were him. Time for someone to be sleeping in their own crib. LOL. Not my kid, but I feel for the dad on this. Worked at Starbucks at an airport one summer. Had a tubby dad and his 4-year-oldish looking daughter order drinks. He was very jokey and they were nice enough. Then he goes to her dad, "Is gonna get a muffin. Do you want anything to eat?" This ruthless kid just turns to look at him and goes, "No daddy, you're too fat for the muffin. You don't need it." Ouch. She turns and points at me. "Your boobs are bigger than this lady's. Thanks kid." I babysit one. His parents are hippie peaceful type people yet raised a selfish T. He always needs to be and have the biggest, the best, the most and is obsessed with sharps things, weapons, fighting, and yet is a total P himself. If he so much as bumps his knee he screams and cries. To be fair, he is only 5 and all kids are like this to an extent and it is something they grow out of. But I work with lots of kids and he is especially in butthole. If someone says they like or made something, he will instantly try to destroy it or take it. If I tell him I hurt my foot the other day so to be careful, he tries to stomp on it. When I asked him what his favorite part of Toy Story was, when Woody pushed Buzz out the window, it is hard taking him to the playground because he gets in little kids' faces for no reason and threatens them with a stick. So embarrassing. I feel like my mother would fit perfectly on Gis list. My 3 younger brothers have recently all been arrested, one for drug issues, one for vandalism and the youngest for setting an entire school building on fire. She abused us endlessly. I got out and lived with my dad. I haven't seen any of them since my kids were born. But she still can't understand why her sons ARW assholes. When back for break I had learned my younger brother, age 17, let his friends frick in my room while I was at college. The used condom still in my room. He asked for a ride, which I said no because I had just driven a long way, to which he responds by insulting me, claims I'm not being mean, I'm just saying what others won't say to your face, which has led me to realize whenever I talk to him he either wants something or wants to fight. When I talked to my mom about it, she said she can't be more strict because he is adopted and doesn't want to treat him differently than my biological sister and I. If she really wanted to be equal, she would not deal with his balls. Only plus side of going home is I now have a lock on my bedroom door. Wife texted me to tell me our 8-year-old, I'm actually a stepfather, shoved her this morning after I left for work. So I don't know if we've raised in butthole yet, but he's going to know what one is when I get home. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.